Welcome to the deep dive. We take the sources you share with us and we try to find the most essential insights fast.
And today, we're closing out the year looking at two just massive battles that are really defining late 2025.
Right. And they share this core theme, a struggle for control over information. It could be commercial data or it could be incredible sensitive government files.
That's it, exactly.
Yeah.
On one side, in the commercial world, you have this fight over who owns the customer, who owns their journey, their data, the final transaction.
And then on the political side, we're looking at a huge question of governance. Who actually controls transparency when you're faced with just a mountain of sensitive documents?
It's a fascinating parallel. First, we're going to get into Amazon's really tricky dilemma with these new AI shopping agents. We're talking a potential trillion-dollar disruption.
And then we'll dive into the controversy around the Department of Justice missing its deadline for the Jeffrey Epstein files and the shocking discovery of over 1 million new documents.
A million. It's unbelievable.
Okay, let's unpack this. So let's start with this fight for, I guess, the future of the online shopping cart. It's a concept called agentic commerce.
Right. And this isn't just a chatbot, you know, suggesting a shirt.
No, not at all. This is an AI agent that does the actual work for you. It scans the whole web, it finds the best deal, compares everything.
And it makes the purchase,
Mm-hmm.
often without you ever having to go to a retailer's website. It all happens inside the chat window.
The economic stakes here are just enormous.
Oh, they're staggering. This isn't some niche thing. McKinsey, the consulting firm, they've projected that this could generate, get this, $1 trillion
$1 trillion.
in U.S. retail revenue
Mm-hmm.
by 2030. And Morgan Stanley backs that up. They think almost half of American shoppers will be using these things by then.
Which would add another, what, $115 billion in spending?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah.
115 billion. It's a fundamental shift in how we buy things.
And for Amazon, that is an existential threat. I mean, their entire empire is built on owning every single step of that process.
Every step. From the moment you search to the box on your porch.
Yeah.
But the second you use an agent from, say, OpenAI or Google,
Amazon loses that direct relationship.
and they lose money. The sources are clear on this. When an AI like ChatGPT facilitates a sale, OpenAI collects a fee.
So even if the product comes from Amazon, OpenAI is clipping the ticket on the way through.
Exactly. The Forrester analyst Sucharita Kodali put it perfectly. She said retailers risk paying a toll on someone else's highway.
And Amazon owns the biggest highway on the internet.
They do. And that puts them in what experts are calling the leader's dilemma. They have the most to lose, so they're stuck.
How so?
Well, if they embrace these agents, they empower their biggest competitors, they give away their data advantage. But if they block them, they risk looking old-fashioned and pushing customers away.
So what are they doing? It sounds like they're trying to do both.
They are. It's a two-front war. On defense, they are aggressively trying to sort of wall off their data.
By updating their code, right?
Yeah.
To block these AI crawlers.
Yes. As of last Tuesday, they had blocked 47 different bots.
And that includes everyone.
Everyone. All the major AI companies. It's a huge signal,
But it's not just code. They've gone to court.
which tells you how serious this is. They sued Perplexity over its Comet browser agent.
That's the one that lets you buy things directly through Perplexity's interface.
That's the one. And Amazon claims Perplexity was actively trying to conceal its agents to scrape their site data illegally.
Which is interesting. Why go after a smaller startup like Perplexity first? Why not Google?
It feels like they're testing the legal theory, set a precedent against the smaller player before you get into a huge, messy fight with a giant that could bring in the antitrust regulators.
Okay, so that's the defense, the big block. But they can't stop this completely?
No way. Their own CEO, Andy Jassy, has said these agents are going to be everywhere, from shopping to travel.
So they have to have an offense, too.
And they do. They're actively looking for partnerships in this space, they're hiring for it, and they're building their own agents.
Like Lufus, their shopping chatbot that launched in February.
Right. And Rufus is getting smarter. It can now auto-buy things for Prime members if a price drops. And, this is key, it's starting to suggest products from sites across the web.
Not just Amazon. And then there's the Buy For Me feature they're testing.
That's a huge move. An agent inside the Amazon app that can go buy something for you from a competitor's website.
Is that a sign of strength, though? Or weakness? I mean, they're admitting they don't have everything.
I think it's a hedging strategy, a necessary one. They're willing to basically outsource fulfillment just to keep you inside their ecosystem. Shows how worried they are.
It's this whole frenemy landscape. You
Yeah.
see Walmart and Shopify taking a different path.
The more collaborative one.
Yeah.
Shopify's CEO is apparently really, really excited about it. They want to partner, but with, clear rules.
Guardrails.
Guardrails, exactly. And what's fascinating is that Amazon seems to be quietly experimenting too.
Through its subsidiaries.
Yeah. Zappos, Shopbop, Woot, they don't seem to have the same blocking code. Scott Wingo, an expert in the sources, suggests Amazon is using them as a lab, basically, to experiment and see how these agents work without risking the main site.
Let's talk about the data they're protecting. Wingo says it's really two things: customer reviews and sales rankings. Why are those the crown jewels?
Because anyone can scrape a product photo or a price, that's easy. But you can't replicate years of real-world buying behavior.
The sales rankings tell you what's actually popular.
Exactly. And the reviews give you the nuance, the sentiment. For an AI agent, that's pure gold. It's a shortcut to making much, much better recommendations.
But for all this hype, for all the talk of a trillion-dollar market, it's still early days.
Oh, very early. The sources are pretty clear that right now a simple Google search still converts to a sale way better than these agents do.
And they can be legit, to say the least.
The examples are hilarious.
Yeah.
Scott Wingo tried to use Perplexity to buy a sweater that was in stock. The agent just kept failing.
And the coffee machine example.
Oh, that's the best one. Someone searched ChatGPT for a Breville coffee machine. The agent found a great one, but when the person clicked the link,
The image was a garden rake.
a garden rake. So, there's still a ways to go, a lot of human supervision needed.
Okay, so we have this massive commercial data war. Amazon is trying to control this flood of proprietary data. Now let's pivot to a governmental data war where the Justice Department is struggling with a flood of sensitive
It's
files.
the same core challenge, right?
Yeah.
A monumental scale of data and a fight over who controls its release.
And that lands us right on the delay in releasing the Jeffrey Epstein files. The DOJ missed a hard deadline, December 19th.
A deadline set by law. The Epstein Files Transparency Act, which President Trump signed in November, it required the full public release of all of those documents.
Then, on Christmas Eve, of all days, this political bombshell drops. The DOJ says it's found over 1 million additional documents.
A million. I mean, for you listening, the first question has to be, how is that even possible? How do you just find 1 million files?
Yeah. It really strains credulity. What was the official explanation?
The official line is the mass volume of material. They say their lawyers are working around the clock on redactions to protect victims' privacy, which is legally required.
And now it's going to take a few more weeks, pushing this whole thing into the new year.
But finding 1 million new files at the last minute, it suggests a pretty severe organizational failure. I mean, either the data was scattered all over the place or the initial search was just not very good.
Whatever the reason, it immediately sparked this furious and very rare bipartisan backlash.
Absolutely. From both sides of the aisle, lawmakers are questioning the whole process.
A group of 12 senators, including Democrats like Richard Blumenthal and Republicans like Lisa Murkowski, they immediately called for an inspector general audit.
And they didn't just point to the delay. They claimed the DOJ had already violated the law by withholding files, releasing things that were already public, and,
The redactions.
yes, excessive redactions that they
Right.
say raise serious questions about what's really going on.
And some of the Democratic criticism was incredibly sharp.
It was. Representative Robert Garcia just came out and accused the White House of a cover-up protecting Epstein's co-conspirators. He called it outrageous.
And Chuck Schumer, the Senate Minority Leader, called the timing a Christmas Eve news dump. He used the words massive cover-up.
It's gotten so heated that you have threats of holding the Attorney General in contempt of Congress.
From both parties, Thomas Massie, a Republican, and Ro Khanna, a Democrat, have both raised holding Attorney General Bondi and her deputy in inherent contempt.
Which just shows you how much this failure to manage the data volume has eroded public trust.
And this leads to the political sensitivity of the files themselves. What's fascinating here is the documents we have seen already contained politically charged material.
For sure. There was an email, for instance, suggesting former President Trump traveled on Epstein's plane quite a bit in the 90s.
And the DOJ was very careful about how they framed that.
Extremely careful. They put out a public statement saying, and I'm paraphrasing, that some of these documents contain untrue and sensationalist claims that were sent to the FBI right before the 2020 election.
Which isn't just context, that's an attempt to preemptively discredit some of the information.
It absolutely is. It shows the tightrope they're walking. They have a transparency law to follow, but the files contain allegations against a major political figure, along with sensitive victim information.
And we can't forget the politics around the law itself. Trump's position on it shifted over time.
It really did. At first, he suggested he was for declassifying everything. Then he called the whole thing a hoax and reportedly pressured Republicans to oppose the bill.
Before finally signing it.
Right. It just shows how uncomfortable everyone in Washington is with what might be in those million new files.
So what does this all mean for you?
Well, it means you're living in an era that's just defined by this overwhelming volume of digital information. On one side, you have Amazon fighting to protect its data from AI challengers.
And on the other, you have the DOJ struggling to manage a transparency law when faced with a mountain of records, a million of which they just, found.
Both stories show this monumental, maybe impossible task of controlling huge amounts of valuable or sensitive data. The people holding the data are up against systems, AI agents, transparency laws that are designed to get at that data fast.
And you're caught in the middle. You're either the customer whose choices are about to be shaped by an AI, or you're the citizen whose right to know depends on whether a government agency can even find its own files.
Which brings us to our final provocative thought. We're looking at a potential trillion-dollar shift in retail because of AI and a political earthquake from a million new documents.
Does all this uncovering of previously hidden data, whether it's Amazon's commercial secrets or lost government files, does it signal a future where information just can't be contained anymore?
Or are we just watching powerful entities develop even more sophisticated ways to manage, to defend, and ultimately to control what gets shared and what stays hidden?
That feels like the core question that's going to define the next few years, both in the market and in public life.